The 2022 NBA draft has already become one of my favorite draft classes in recent memory, and the impact that this class not only already has had, but will continue to have on the league in the future is just unbelievable. And of course, that all starts with Paolo Banchero, who makes an all-star team in his second season after being the first overall pick. And it's really cool the way that this has worked out, because I feel like the top three fell how it should have, despite the fact that it all kind of came together the last minute. Remember, on draft night, the assumption was Jabari Smith was going to be the first pick, and then Orlando changed their mind basically right before the draft. Paolo goes first overall, and the case for Paolo as the first overall pick in the draft was he is the best chance you have in this class of a franchise cornerstone, of a score, of an individual piece that raises the level of everyone else. As good as some of the other guys are in the class, they long-term project more likely as complementary options, whereas Paolo potentially projects as a number one option. And looking back now at where Orlando was then and where they are now, Paolo was the perfect pick for them. Now, the downside for him was he was not necessarily a selfish player in college, but definitely had a score-first mentality in college, and there was a concern about if he doesn't become like a top-level player, is his game too narrow? Is it just focused on scoring? But in the NBA, he guards decently well, he rebounds really well, he's grown as a passer immensely over the last handful of months, and individually as an offensive player, he is just a mismatch problem for these teams. And I love how this class has worked out, and I love how well Paolo has started his career in Orlando. And anytime you have a great draft class you want to compare to other great classes throughout the history of the league, you got to have a great first overall pick, and Paolo certainly is that. And then second overall, every time I watch the Thunder, I can't believe this. Chet Holmgren goes second overall. Now, there was some thought about Chet potentially going first. Maybe he was going to go third. A lot of different, kind of takes on what Chet was going to be at the NBA level because of his skinny frame. There's two things that have happened. One, Chet has absolutely landed in the perfect situation in Oklahoma City, but he's also molded his game to be a perfect fit there for the Thunder as well. His ideal fit at the NBA level, his ceiling was always in a situation like this, where you're not asking Chet to be the number one option and break guys down off the dribble and create his own offense all the time. You're not asking him to be, this full-time five that's going to be, some kind of bruising presence against these other guys. It's perfect where he is right now. He can attack closeouts, he can shoot, he defends the rim extremely well, he can create off of closeouts and potentially in some individual one-on-one matchups as he continues to grow and get better with his offensive game. And he had the year. I really think that the extra year was critical for Chet, because he comes into year two extremely confident, ready to go, and Oklahoma City is even better now than they were last year, and it's just absolutely perfect for him. Chet, I think this version of him would have been successful on most teams, but this is just the perfect situation for him, and he is going to continue to have a crazy impact on the league. And then three overall is Jabari Smith. Now, there's a lot of people that are kind of down on Jabari Smith. I think the situation in Houston is still kind of weird for some of these younger players, but what he's kind of turned into in Houston is one of the reasons why he didn't end up going first overall. He had a high ceiling as a complementary player, as a guy that could shoot and can guard and was switchable and versatile, but the top tier offensive skills just weren't there. It was a lot of, mid-range jumpers off of, one jab step or one dribble. A lot of the shooting stuff hasn't super translated after he shot the ball extremely well as a freshman at Auburn. I still think Jabari Smith's going to be really good. I don't know if he's going to be like all-star level good, but as a complementary piece, which is kind of what he was supposed to be at the time of the draft, I still have a lot of hope for Jabari. And again, I think that top three worked out perfectly. Fourth overall, Keegan Murray. You didn't go back and look at the videos. I didn't like the pick. I thought they should have taken Jaden Ivey. I thought he was more talented. I didn't understand the concept of bringing in someone like Keegan Murray as like a high-level complementary piece long-term, but it's worked out for Sacramento. They already had enough guards. They trade Halliburton. Keegan Murray's really good. He guards, he shoots, he's continued to grow his offensive game, and has turned out to be a perfect fit in Sacramento. I don't know what it would have looked like with Jaden Ivey there in Sacramento, especially post Tyrese Halliburton trade, but absolutely this has been a really good pick for Sacramento, and I was wrong about that one, totally, 100%. Fifth is Jaden Ivey in Detroit. This is just a crazy situation. Jaden Ivey's good. Jaden Ivey's very good. He's very talented. He's still got stuff to figure out. He still has to figure out how to shoot better, how to be more efficient, how to not turn the ball over, but there is talent there, and I don't know if it's going to happen in Detroit, but I think at some point somewhere it's going to happen for Jaden Ivey, and he's going to be a really good player. And this top five in this class is one of the better top fives that we've had over the last handful of seasons, because there isn't really a miss. Like, yes, Jaden Ivey hasn't been perfect, Jabari Smith hasn't been perfect, Keegan Murray isn't like a star by any means, but this top five is really strong, and that's rare throughout the history of the league to not have a single like big miss in the top top 5 of a class. Outside of the top 5, things start to get a little bit murky. 6 is Benedict Mathurin. I don't really know how I feel about him. There's an aggressiveness in terms of his mindset there that I like, but I don't know if we're just watching a little bit of like a shot chucker, if he's ever going to be super efficient. I'd like for him to get to the rim more, but he draws a ton of fouls. I don't know. I like Mathurin. I don't know that he's ever going to be a star. I don't know that he's ever going to be, a high level starter on like a championship caliber team, but he's going to be able to score, and he's a good player, and I think there's room for growth there. And again, I think the biggest selling point for him is just the aggressiveness and the attitude that he brings to the game, and I still think he's going to be good. 7, Shaedon Sharpe, kind of a weird season for him. He's been hurt most of the year. The talent and the upside and the potential is unbelievable for Shaedon Sharpe. I can't wait to see what he's going to turn into as an NBA player with all that athleticism. 8, Dyson Daniels, another guy I'm still kind of uncertain about. He's got to be able to shoot the ball, but he can guard. He's got incredible physical skills. He really can defend. If he can improve as an offensive player, specifically as a shooter, I really like the future for Dyson Daniels. 9, Jeremy Sohan. Sure, maybe. I think there's something there. There's something there with the playmaking instincts. There's something there with the defense. My concern would be, does he ever figure it out enough as a three-point shooter in the long term? Like, there's small sample sizes where it's good and some where it's not. I want there to be something there with Sohan, but when you think about the 9 guys I just listed in a row, the top 9 of a class, all of them have a chance to be good to really good, and that is extremely rare. Now for this class, you got to start skipping a couple of spots to get the next good player, but 12 is Jalen Williams. Obviously the wing Jalen Williams, not the big guy. I can't get over this. This continues to blow my mind every time I look back at this class. Jalen Williams came from Santa Clara. He was an interesting perimeter prospect that had good physical tools, that shot up draft boards towards the end of the process, and I think he's a future all-star. Like, he is unbelievable in that system in Oklahoma City as a creator, as a floor spacer. He's got size, he can guard a little bit, and Oklahoma City leaving this draft class with Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren is unbelievable. Yes, they had 2 top 12 picks, but those are 2 of the best players in the entire class that they got, and they fit perfectly in Oklahoma City. And this is kind of the separator. If you're going to be a great draft class, you need to have some of these like late lottery or mid first round guys be really good, and Jalen Williams is that guy. Another guy that people don't talk about enough, 13, is Jalen Duren. I know people don't really like watching Detroit. Jalen Duren's good. He rebounds the ball well, is a great athlete, good rim roller, still needs to figure some stuff out defensively, but the skill set is there. I love Jalen Duren. I think he's going to be a really good long-term piece in Detroit. And again, another mid-first round guy in this class. 15 is Mark Williams. Had some injury issues this year, but I think he's a really good long-term 5 in Charlotte, kind of in like the Clint Capella type mold of like, he's going to defend the rim, he's going to rebound, and he's going to catch lobs. Really like Mark Williams. 17, Tari Eason in Houston, another guy that I just like. I like the way that he plays. If he can shoot the ball well enough, he's going to have a role in the league for a long time as someone that can guard, score a little bit, and shoot. 21, Christian Braun in Denver. We saw how well he played in the postseason last year. Again, just one of these complementary pieces that you have to be a great draft class. 22, Walker Kessler, same thing. Great rim protector, great rebounder, going to be a long-term piece in the league. 30, Peyton Watson, same thing as what I just said for Christian Braun in Denver. He is just this really athletic, wing that's going to make a ton of winning plays for you as a complementary piece. 31, Andrew Nembhard, who's been playing well in Indiana as a guard alongside Tyrese Halliburton. 35, Max Christie, who's gotten some run with the Lakers, can shoot the ball pretty well. Jaden Hardy, high upside guard, potentially long-term in Dallas. And 47, Vince Williams Jr. in Memphis, who's been really good now that they've been missing Desmond Bane and Ja Morant. I just named so many players from this class that are going to have long careers, long-term impact on the NBA. And I wouldn't be surprised if 5-10 years from now, we look back at the 2022 NBA draft class as one of the best draft classes that we've seen in the last 20 years. This talent level is unbelievable, and the impact is really cool, and the immediate impact as well. A lot of times you get some late bloomers that kind of raise the ceiling of a class. There's so many guys from this group that are already contributing straight away, and I can't wait to see what the rest of their careers look like as well.